Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to HoNcast here. Our World Finals 2016 podcast is upon us here. That's right, we are here to talk about the World Finals, HoN Tour World Finals, of course, coming up here in what is just over a week now. Still a little bit of time here, but we are getting close. We're getting close. We're getting to the point where people are going to start leaving, going to Thailand and everything, including ourselves here. Talk about it in just a moment, but obviously looking forward to a great trip ahead, but also a fantastic event that we have ahead for us, and that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be previewing, really, what the World Finals of 2016 is set to bring us here, kind of running through the teams especially, going through what we think about them, specifically the other regions, specifically Thailand, of course, amongst basic information, and just how we're feeling in general about this event. So with that said, I keep saying us, as you see on your screen, we got a plethora of casters here, hosts, and I guess this is also kind of a mini announcement as well. The 4 people you see on your screen are going to be the 4 casters that are at the World Finals of 2016. So, of course, I'm Breaky CBK. Going through right here, we're also going to be joined by Matthew Madical. Happy to have him. How's it going, man?
It's going good, Breaky. Good to be here. Can't wait.
Can't wait indeed. What kind of mic you got, by the way? It's looking pretty nice.
It's Audio Technica 80 ATR 2100. It's pretty affordable. It's a really good mic.
Sounds fancy. Sounds good too. No, excited to have you on though, and of course, so yeah, you're going to be going as well, one of the main casters here. So going to be fun to meet you in person and cast them on. You excited for the World Finals?
Likewise, I'm very excited here. It's going to be the first time I've ever been out of the country, first time I'm meeting any of these competitive players in HoN and the Frostburn staff. Super excited.
Nice. All right, yeah, no, it's going to be a good time there. Also, now as far as our analysts goes, are going to be going to the World Finals, and here on the podcast with us, we're joined by we'll go with Rigroste first, and Sania seems like he might have just been AFK. So, Rigroste, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited that we finally get to talk some World Finals now. You know, it has been a little bit of a break here, right? So it's good to be back, and it's good to finally get that focus now. We're just about there. I mean, what about you? I mean, have you been out of the country before? I mean, is this a new experience for you in general, or what?
Yeah, the farthest I've ever been is Mexico, so
okay,
definitely a new experience. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so it's definitely a great trip ahead of us here, so. Of course, the other analyst that's going to be joining us, and obviously on this podcast as well, is the one, the only, Insania. Is he even there? Are you there, Insania?
I'm here. Here. I think you guys can hear me, but
we can hear
camera
you.
Just died.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we got a sweet
Trying
picture.
to set it up again.
Is that picture supposed to be you, by the way? Is that what that's?
Oh no, it's not. It's not.
Okay.
It's Mango, the Smash
Oh, that's right. That's
yeah.
Right. That's your idol right there.
He's the man.
The guy you look up to. No, but
Yep.
we're happy to have you. Obviously, going to be coming to the World Finals. You have some experience in Thailand, both as a player and a caster, actually. So, you looking forward to going back though?
Oh yeah. I mean, I definitely had my best experience there as a caster. So, looking forward to maybe reliving some of those memories.
Yeah.
Wait, I think I fixed it.
Nice.
Is it working?
It's
there we go.
loading up for me. There we go. There's the beautiful Insania.
Yep.
Awesome. No, but yeah, excited to have you back as a caster, especially. Obviously, you attempted to make it as a player this year, but came short with BMG there, so solid run, though. Solid run. Just to remind you.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, you guys do a good job of reminding me of my defeats.
Well, there's going to be plenty more to talk about later on in the cast here. I mean, we got to talk about Sync in last year. I mean, that's inevitably going to happen, right? So. No, but excited to have you on, though, once again. So, okay, guys. So, again, here we are, talking about the World Finals coming out now. Specifically, the World Finals, they are June 18th and 19th. So, not this weekend, but the following weekend. I do want to preface what we're going to be talking about here with, unfortunately, we wanted to do this later on in the week, but for reasons because the website actually is going to be launched. I believe it's set to be launched tomorrow even. That will have a lot of this information that we're going to be going over today. Unfortunately, though, we needed to kind of do the podcast today for several reasons here. So with that said, this information, it will all be in a website format come tomorrow. Again, I believe is when that page is set to launch there. So don't worry, that is coming. You're not just relying on this for all that information here. But this is kind of a preview, basically, of what is to come. So again, the dates are June 18th and 19th. That obviously everyone has known by now. 8 teams are going to these World Finals. Of course, 2 from our region, specifically Sync Esports and Complexity Gaming. And then you got 4 from Thailand, 1 from CIS, and 1 from Singapore region, Malaysia actually. They're going to be going as well. And again, we'll kind of talk about these teams here in just a second. But first things first, where I wanted to start here is first off the format of the event and actually the prize pool of the event. So to get this out there, I believe the Thai region, they have had some announcements. I don't know if people have seen that yet themselves, but it was officially announced. It's going to be a 5 million baht prize pool. Now, what that translates to is $140,000 approximately, but I think it's $143,000 US dollars actually. So, I mean, so pretty good money in the end. Now, it sounds a lot prettier, when you say 5 million baht, obviously, but even $143,000, not too shabby there as far as the prize pool, what it came to. Of course, that's from the Paragon that was going on throughout the regular season and everything, and helping money towards the prize pool there and everything else. So it's cool to see that. Any thoughts on the prize pool there? Any reactions that you guys? I don't know if this is the first time you're actually hearing about it or not. We didn't really talk specifics, but Mathematical, we'll start with you. What do you think?
I saw the international announcement. I did the little Google currency translator for me, and 150K. That's a nice chunk of change there. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'd be happy to win that.
Yeah, I know, who wouldn't, right? Yeah, it's definitely some solid money there. Yeah, it's just over 50,000 for first place, I think, is how it breaks down as you're suggesting there. So, Regroste, any thoughts there?
No, it's going to be good. It's worth playing for, definitely.
Cool stuff. Insania, anything to add?
I mean, it's kind of the same as last year, no?
It's a little bit less than last year. So, not to take away.
Close enough. Close enough.
It is close.
I mean, it's a good prize pool. I know some people did the calculations last year, and it was like winning all the 8 cycles was like less money than the World Finals.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a big prize pool, and I think it's a great motivator for the teams going there. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think the prize pool could have been like $1,000, and what you're really playing for is that title.
Yeah.
And the Doombringer on the forums, of course.
Yes.
You have a couple of those there, so.
I have 1.
Oh, you'll have 1. That's right. Okay. Well, you have 1.
This is awkward.
That's more than me. Which is saying something.
Shots are already being fired.
I feel like it's been like 2 minutes.
And you already want to leave.
And I'm already taking hits.
You're already done
I'm
with
just
this.
sitting here trying to. I'm here for the people, but you guys.
I know.
Taking shots at me.
I'm sorry. No.
Sorry.
Well, we are happy to have you on, of course.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding.
Okay, so yeah, the prize pool, again, it is a little bit less than last year, but I will say this, at the regular season, actually, it was much more money throughout the regular season and the individual cycles, definitely. That was, that was being handed out there, too, so it's kind of like a give and take in that sense. But as you're pointing out, Insania, I know, people, maybe have different opinions on this, but I really feel that way, too, from just my experience going to these lands and talking with the players. That title means so much, of world champion especially, being able to hold that Doombringer, in person, and, the icon that you get, just all that recognition in the end is no doubt, pretty cool to know that all the hard work and effort that these players have been putting in comes to that. So, prize pool, great to have, but obviously, that wanting to win it all because they're competitors. So I'm sure kind of that main focus there. Okay, so that's the prize pool there, the basic side of it there. Now we got the format of the event. So the format, okay, it is similar to last season, last World Finals. However, I think it's better. And so what I mean by that, last World Finals, it was a best-of-1 format. We had 10 teams, actually, I think it was. 5 in each group. It was the 2 different groups, and the top 2 made it on to the top 4 bracket, and it went from there. This year, it's actually only 4 teams in each group, so 8 teams total, and thus the schedule works out to be where it's a best-of-2 format. So every team, they're going to play each other twice. And I believe it's just like it was in our regular season. You get 3 points if you get a 2-0 victory, 1 point if it's a tie, and obviously 0 points if you get if you go 0-2. But I think it's safe to say, a best of 2 definitely helps determine who truly the better team is. Last year we had moments where you kind of look at it. It's like, well, best of one maybe was reasons for why certain things happen. So, but speaking of this season, speaking of these World Finals, we got best of two format. What do you guys think of that? I mean, is that where you think it's best? Safe to say.
I mean, ideally you would want to play best of threes, but best of two is better than best of one, so it's
Yeah.
a step in the right direction. From a player's point of view, at least, I am pretty sure every single team, like even if you're the underdog, you still prefer the best of three format because even if you win a best of one, there's always gonna be everyone's gonna be like, oh, but it was just a best of one, it doesn't count, and like it goes both ways. You want to beat someone, you want to beat them for the pride factor, a lot of it. So I think best of threes is just in general the best way to go about it. But best of two, it's better.
I see what you're saying there, definitely, but yeah, as you said, maybe a step in the right direction at least, and it is a
Yep.
step up from just the best of one. So with how the schedule works, we're able to make it work that way. Mathematical, what is your take?
Yeah, I mean, I'm right along the lines with what he said. Obviously, the best of two, you're going to get to see more matches between each individual teams before we make it into the bracket stages. So, that'll be fun. Hopefully, there's more matches in general to, display for everybody to watch and get an idea of what each team has to offer.
For Girls Day?
Yeah, I really like the best of two, much more than the best of one. It's just going to be better for everyone. The teams don't have to stress so much about losing one game. It'll just be much better just to have the two games.
Yeah, I think it's just an overall consensus. I mean, the only argument you can make, I hate Skype sometimes, man. Swear to God. By sometimes I mean usually all the time. What is going on? What is this? You
I
need
don't know.
Skype
The
Premium
lights
to make
just
it
got dimmed or something.
All right, well,
Something happened.
it's working for now. Whatever. I'll just keep it as it is. And hey, we're back. Cool. Love you, Skype. Anyways, what was I saying? Hey, Keizu. What's up, Keizu? See Keizu in chat. You're getting distracted here.
Yeah, he's in Discord with me. He's
Yo.
being a
Are,
retard.
wait, was that Keizu?
Hmm?
Oh, somebody said yo. That sounded like him for a second.
No, that was my
that,
Keizu
that was
impression.
that was mathematical. Okay.
Jeez.
Are you? By the way, where are you, Insane? Are you boot camping with Sync yet, or I know that you're.
No, I'm not. I ended up not going.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, figured might as well stay home and not play a certain other game that should not be named for another day.
Okay. Fair enough.
Nope.
All right. So, anyways, the format there. So yeah, best of two, step in the right direction. It should help determine, who the top two teams are from each group. And again, only having 4 teams in each group is obviously another thing to keep in mind here. It's kind of good and bad where, it's. I guess it really is just ultimately good. I mean, if you're a team that's expecting to move on, it's a slightly better chance there, you could argue. But it also makes it that much more interesting with how even some of these teams are, which, again, we'll talk about in just a second here. So going from the best of two format, it's then, again, the top 2 from each group will advance on to the bracket stage, and then it's like your typical single elimination bracket. You got your semifinals followed by a grand finals. It's just straight up single elimination. Best of 3s into a best of 5 grand finals. So there's no advantages, nothing like that. It is just straight up. So obviously the brackets, definitely looking forward to that stage as well. Now, as far as I already see this being brought up, the groups themselves, they will not be officially decided until I think it's the 16th. Where it's the night of the 16th where we're gonna have a dinner and everything. And we're gonna do like a drawing in a sense there. So that will be determined. Now, to clarify on how that works, it's not straight up random drawing. There will be a little bit of structure to it. So Sync and Complexity, they're going to be in separate groups, like no matter how the drawing works. It's just just for even sake, just so we don't get this ultimate group of death. Like say if it was like Sync, Complexity, MRR, and Snoop Dogg or something like that. I mean that would be absolutely absurd. So just for the evenness of the competition and make sure we have a very solid event, it will be structured like that. But which group they're actually in and which of these other teams are playing, obviously is what will be determined in the end. So. Anything else to add about the formats here, guys? I know I'm kind of rambling on here about the structure and everything, but anything to add about the group stages? Anything there?
Not really. I
all.
think it's good. Yeah, I think it's good that we split the NAU teams. I mean, it's a world finals. Everyone's supposed to get to play each other, so I think it's fair to do it the way it is. Even not if like you don't want to call it a death group, just like so that everybody gets to play teams from different regions. You don't just beat the teams from your own region and qualify to the finals.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so that's a format how it's going to be looking. Again, the 18th and the 19th are the dates of said World Finals here. So, other than that, not a whole lot of information to really put out there. I mean, that's a lot. Basically, like I said, there is going to be the website launch tomorrow that'll have kind of in depth and everything of what we're going over here today. But that pretty much covers what to expect here with the event. So, as far as the teams going to the event. Let's start talking about the teams here a little bit. We'll start with the obvious ones. We'll start with are the teams that we know, the North American, European region. Of course, the two teams coming from us. We'll start with what probably many believe to be the favorites of this event. I think we're going to have a debate about that in a second here. Sync Esports, these guys, obviously, they won the regular season. That's how they accomplished qualifying for said World Finals here. It is a different roster, of course, from last season, from the World Finals of last year, but it's still kind of, at the same time, somewhat similar. The biggest similarity is, of course, Slapped and Mickey, obviously. They're coming back, joined by Serenia, Zibe, and Haxerin, and looking to see what they can make happen here. So we mentioned they're already boot camping. They're taking this very seriously. As I say that, Insania not so sure.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean,
What do you got?
some people are boot camping and not drinking, and others are at boot camp and drinking.
Playing
I don't know. I mean, like, if I was at a boot camp and I was taking it very seriously, I don't know if I'd be consuming alcohol. I mean, this is just me. But, I mean, who knows?
Well-
maybe that's their take.
In their defense, I did see them up until 3 a.m. their time scrimming yesterday. So
But it's
they're
'cause
doing work and
They
and
started
play.
scrimming. They
Hand in
started
hand.
scrimming
They
at
have no
like.
choice.
They started scrimming at like what? Like 10?
They're getting
Yeah.
used to
Their
the
own
new
fault.
time zone. You could argue that, right?
No, it works the other way around.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it might have made sense, but okay, never mind.
Rick, you tried.
I'm trying.
Nah,
I'm
I'm just
trying
kidding
to.
though. I'm just kidding though. They are taking it seriously, I think. I mean, they even asked me to
coach
them.
up. Yeah.
if you can call them that, but I don't know. Like I've been sitting in their Discord a little bit and trying to help them out, tell them like, maybe you should communicate like this or like that, because I mean, ultimately they're the team. They're still my boys because we
Yeah.
still share the same tag. It's two of my old teammates, so you gotta help them out when you can.
Understandable. Just like Regroste is going to be really biased towards complexity, you're going to be really biased towards sync, obviously. Yeah.
I mean, I think I'm also gonna be way harder on Sync,
Fair.
like because I know them so well, and you expect certain things from them, and there are things that I know that some other players are able to do that they don't do. So
Yeah.
it works both ways, I think.
So what do you guys think? Mathematic, I want to get your opinion. What do you think of Sync? Are they the top dogs? Are they the team to be? Is this year their year?
I mean, obviously they're one of the best teams. I mean, they didn't even have to participate in the qualifiers and in the scrims. I watched between them and Complexity. It's only scrims, but fairly back and forth. Yesterday they had quite the success, and I don't know if they're going to stick with like what got them to the World Finals or if they're going to mix it up again. I think that's the big question that's on everyone's mind.
Regroste, what do you think?
I think Sync looks great right now. I wouldn't say they're the top team going to the whole tournament, but I definitely think they have a very strong chance of winning. But yeah, I think they look good, and I know they've been taking it more seriously than we were laughing about. But yeah, I definitely think they have a good chance.
Yeah. It's again, I'm not. It's understandable, yeah, if they're not like grinding like hardcore necessarily towards this, but at the same time, you'll have to have fun, obviously. But I don't know. From my outside perspective, I feel like this means so much to players, especially like Zlapt, especially like Haxerin, especially I feel like Zibe is really showing that this means a lot to him. Not that it doesn't matter for Mickey or Serenia, because I haven't talked to them as much or really seen that in the end. But Mickey I feel like he just is here to have fun. He doesn't even really care. But no,
Actually,
it works
you know
out.
what, Ricky? I think it's actually quite the opposite for him.
Yeah.
He cares so much about winning a LAN. Like, I think out of the events that we've lost, like between DreamHack and Thailand, if you combine how sad people were after both events, I think Mickey probably has the most sadness from those two events.
Really?
I think Thailand was pretty obviously Slap was like by far the saddest about it.
Yeah.
But if you combine both events, I think Mickey was really down. So he definitely cares a lot about getting that land win because it's in a way like as a player, it's like when you win your first land, that's when you're like actually good. Like you can all start like having opinions and you can nobody can say anything because you've won a land. So um, I think actually like everyone really cares about this. At least the old school people, like you said, Hacks and Slap. I think for them it's also a really big deal. Hacks should have had a land win,
Yeah.
but he got it stolen from him.
Complexity.
Yeah, I mean they should have won that year. So sorry, Hacks, but yeah, no, he's definitely hungry for it.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of go on that side of it real quick. I know it's a sore subject for you and saying it maybe a little bit, but is there a hangover you think for specifically Mickey and Slapped? Does that add pressure? I mean, do you think that they're feeling it, or is what's last year was last year? This is a new team to an extent. We're gonna make it happen. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, I think for me at least, like if I look back, like when we went to Thailand, we were very confident. We were very like we were pretty sure. We were like, yeah, if we play to our level, we're gonna win. There's no doubt. Like we really felt that way. And I think that's a big difference between the sync team and the old sync team is like for these guys, I also think like they don't have the same confidence. They kind of feel more like underdogs. I don't think they know they're not like okay we just need to do our thing and we win. We just like they feel like that we need to actually like really play good. We need to do things that maybe we haven't done online. We need to step up our gameplay in order to win this event. And I think in a way that actually helps them because you know they're working harder for it. They're not gonna like feel pressured because they also don't maybe think they are as clearly the favorites as last year. So I think and like you said, it's not really the same team. But I hope, at least for Mickey and Slap, that it's not the same way for them. But I think if it starts bad and it starts spiraling downwards, it could easily get out of control. So for me, this tournament is going to be a lot about mentality. And I think it's both for sync and complexity.
Yeah. Again, the format is a little friendlier for them this year, too, so that should help. But at the same time, only having 4 teams and 2 of them, I mean, the competition, honestly, is closer, you could argue, this year as well, as far as overall compared to even last year. So, yeah, it's kind of a give and take there, like I was saying earlier. Matt, what do you think about this hangover effect for sync?
I mean, obviously, I don't think it's something that they'll ever forget, but you can take something like that and use it to your advantage. I mean, obviously, I don't know if they underestimated their opponents, if that's what ultimately caused it, but I don't think So Insane is saying no, but I mean, either way, maybe this time they do a little bit more research and I mean, just go in with their serious pants on, so to say.
Focused.
I know there was with the God tags, that was kind of a funny thing too, but every little thing matters, and it is a mental game, like Insignia said.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So hopefully they're more prepared.
Rag?
Yeah, I think that you need to take God out of their title. They'll be fine. Just no God in any of their names. They'll be fine.
Yeah.
I love you, Insania.
I hope at least one of them wears it and they win, and then we're gonna have a post-tournament podcast, and I'm just gonna sit here and laugh at you, all of you, except Reiki, because he didn't mention it.
I didn't mention it. No, but I think we all can. The focus is that thing that we're wondering, really. I mean, we expect that from them, but is that going to be the case, really, from Sync? I mean, it's not necessarily their tournament to lose, but it's again they are a favorite, no doubt, going into this. So, and again, we'll kind of go over our actual predictions at the end of this too. After we go over the teams here. So, all right, so don't plan to spend that much time on every single team, but obviously Sync, they're kind of a big one and have good reason to talk about them. So,
I think you could call them the fan favorite. I don't think among competitors, maybe they're not as favored, like to do like as good as people want them to do. But I think that amongst the fans, probably like the favorites.
Well, I assume I don't know this 100% fact, but I assume they're also like really big in Thailand. Obviously, Slap has a huge following there specifically,
sure.
And They're not a home team, of course, by any means, but I wouldn't be surprised if they got Thai fans cheering for them.
Last year, after we lost last year, they walked up to us and they're like, "Why do you lose? Like, why you don't play serious?" And we're like, "What? You just beat us!" Like, we were trying, dude. Calm down. Like,
Yeah.
no, they love Sync down there, and I know Slap's gonna do a lot of things for his Thai fans this time around.
Yeah.
So
For talks about that.
for good reason. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So moving things on here to the next team. Of course, the next one, obviously on the list here, is Complexity. Now. All right, so Complexity Gaming, they, to say the least, had a very interesting ride to qualify for the World Finals. You know, we're not going to act like it didn't happen. It did. The obvious being, they qualified all of a sudden. It felt like, you know, where they didn't actually win the playoffs, but then all of a sudden, because of the circumstances, they were called up, and sure enough, they're the team going in the end. Now, it's not like So I know that drama happened, you know, especially after the decision was made and everything, and obviously everyone has their opinions on it. I understand that. This was a decision that was made, though. I will say my take on this all, if there's anything to take from this whole situation that played out, is Complexity is very deserving of this spot. Did they 100% earn it? Did they qualify via the playoffs? Technically, no, they did not. They did lose to Evil Corporation in the end. But again, because of how the rules played out and because of the ruling that was given, they were then the next team in line. They were the runner-up team. They finished second in those playoffs, so that's why they got the spot. And then I think a lot of people tended to overlook this fact, too, that this is also a team that finished second that went down to the final day of the regular season of HoN Tour Season 4. It went down to the final day where they had a chance to be the number one seed, and in the end, Sync defeated them and then thus gained the number one seed. So it's not like we're talking about a team that just kind of was picked out of nowhere by any means and blah, blah, blah. So I think for me, that's the biggest thing to take from this. Complexity is a very deserving team. Would I have rather seen Evil Corporation there? Honestly, yes. They did qualify. They were the team that, you know, should have in the end with their five-man roster. But again, because of the circumstances, Complexity was the next team in line. So Complexity Gaming, they're going as a result of all this here. Very deserving team. How they'll do, I think kind of people have kind of got caught up in this drama for good reason. But now how they'll actually perform at this event, I really think it could go one of two ways. But I do want to get your guys' takes first before we kind of really break into that. So, I mean, again, that was my opinion on that whole situation. Insania, you want to give out yours?
Yeah, I want to represent the people here.
Okay.
And I want to say, okay, so first of all, Mint won one game against Complexity. They only lost to ECX in that tournament, outside of losing to Complexity. Both Complexity and Mint had the same track record, but because of how the brackets were designed, Mint placed third and Complexity second. Like, they won the same amount of games against each other, but Complexity gets to go because of bracket design. So that's one thing. Of course, the brackets were seeded dependent on your contours things. So I just think that's one of the things that people might get irritated by. I think the other thing is the players on ECX that did qualify. I feel so bad for them, and I'm pretty sure everybody feels the same way. Like, these are not players that just kind of started playing 2 years ago, 3 years ago. These guys have been playing since kind of like forever. I've seen Owned Me in TMM since before I was even playing competitive. So it's like super sour for them. And reading Owned Me's story on the forums with his like parents and stuff, being really against gaming, and now finally they're like, oh, this is pretty cool actually. Maybe this is something you can do. And then this happens, and they're like, nope, okay, see, this is what we told you all these years. So I feel super bad for them personally. But it's nothing against Complexity. I think the thing that people do wrong in situations like this is they put the blame on the team that took their place. But Complexity has done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
If I were in Complexity shoes, I would have done the exact same thing. It's like, all right, you guys are giving us a chance to go. Of course we will go. So if anything, hate Frostburn Studios, guys. It's Breaky's fault.
It's all
He's
my
the one
fault,
who did it.
Yes, put it all on me. No, again, I understand why people would be upset. Obviously, we went through all of that on the days that followed, and, you know, perhaps people still feel the same way and want to voice their opinion. Again, that's all fine. Like I said, I'm not afraid of being confrontational about it because I still stand by the decision that was made. We had our good reasons for it, and that's what it came to. But I think the one point I do want to get that you made there, Insania, that I think is important to really stress too. This isn't Complexity's fault. I mean, they're not the ones. It's not like they came to Frostburn and were like, oh, we really want that spot now. They were just out of the blue as far as they're concerned, and, you know, all of a sudden asked if they were still willing to go because of, again, how the ruling was made. So, as you point out, for them to say no, we don't want to go, send ECX. Like, come on. I mean, be realistic. When you're given this chance to go to another country, playing a huge World Finals like this, and again, in ways you did deserve it, you could argue. I think it's understandable that they are going, and that is that. So, mathematical. I know I ramble on. I'm sorry. What is your take?
Well, I mean, you may or may not know, Evil Corporation, even when they were Reason Gaming, it's always been my favorite team. So, it sucks. There's no avoiding that, I would have loved to see them play too. But certain things in life are more important, and you can't knock them for that. So, I hope there's no blame on those two players either. But in the terms of complexity, they won the most cycles, right, in the season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that if there had to be a team to replace Evil Corporation, the complexity deserves it. And that's about all I have to say on that matter.
Reg?
Okay, so I'm going to kind of play the other side slightly and just say that why I do think ECX was the deserving team to go. I'm also going to say that if they would have sent those 3 players, that was not the team that qualified. No matter who stepped
See, I
in, put the
disagree.
subs. But
They played a season with 8 players.
No,
You
okay,
can't,
I
you
understand
can't say
that.
they didn't.
No,
Why
no,
couldn't they
I
use
get
2
that.
of those players, if you
I
put it that way?
totally get that. But it seems odd in a tournament that was designed to decide who are the 5 players that go, that it should be those 5 players that played. At least to me. But like I said, I totally think that whole team deserved to go. I totally agree that they were the best team. And I think we all agreed that if they were have went, they probably would have been by far the favorites in all of Thailand. So, but given the circumstances, that's what they are. Yeah.
That's what makes it tough, I think. It's like if all 5 of them were going, because I agree, and I think it's hard to argue that, they would have been the team to beat. And boy, would that have been fun. But again, it is what it is. Like I said, the decision was made. Whether you agree with it or not, completely up to debate it and still voice your opinions. But that's our takes individually on the situation. So, all right. No, we did not avoid that. I saw people even talking in chat. I bet you they're going to avoid that. No. It happened. We understand that. Okay, so now with that said, again, we don't want to get too caught up, and at the same time, we want to keep the show going. So, back to complexity now. Okay, we talked about that side of complexity. Now let's talk about the side of them actually going, these 5 players. How will they perform? Is this a team that we expect to perform very well, or are they going to, is this going to be something that weighs on them? Are they going to feel like, the pressure or whatever you could argue? Or will it almost help them be like, we have nothing to lose, and we're just going to, play our game and see what happens? We'll go through here. Insania, what do you think?
I think for me, when I look at how teams are going to perform at LANs, it's a lot about, like I said, mentality and playstyle, which are 2 kind of close things, because your mentality towards a game and how you think about it and your playstyle kind of mesh together. And I think Complexity has a really good LAN playstyle. The way they play is, in my opinion, very stable. It's not very much dependent on the enemy team as much as it is on themselves just making the right decisions. So long as they make the right choices, they will always end up winning. And the best way for me to explain that is looking at Sync from last year, where we were a team that we kind of played off our enemies' mistakes. We killed them, we picked them off, and that was how we got our wins. Whereas this Complexity team, they're like, all right, we're just going to not get picked off, just do our thing, get our resources done, and then we go force fights because we're better at the enemy team at playing fights once we have our items. And for that reason, I think Complexity has a very good shot at going far in this tournament. And I would honestly be more surprised if they did poorly than if Sync did poorly at this event.
All right, mathematical.
So I think with the whole situation, I think that adds a little bit of pressure, to perform. I don't think they'll go in, well, it doesn't matter if we lose. I think it's going to be the opposite. I think they've got a lot to prove, and I think they're going to want to show that they do deserve to be there. In terms of how they're going to perform against the rest of the world's teams, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say because I've never seen them play the other teams, but there are a lot of greedy, aggressive lineups picked up by the Thai teams, and they'll run 2 or 3 carries. And I think that Complexity is so good at avoiding fights and waiting for the right moment, when they have their items and they want a team fight, like Insania said. I think that'll play to their advantage. I think they should do well if they stick to their guns.
Regroster?
I think the thing for Complexity is going to be them not getting stomped early game. I totally believe that if they make it past the early games of most of these, they're going to be totally fine, and they'll be able to compete with the Thai teams by far. But, typically, if you see them lose early game, they kind of struggle along to get to late game where they can somehow manage to pull games back because of their team fighting skills. So I think if they can really take early games, or at least stay even in them, I think they're going to stand a really good shot.
I do like the idea. I know we were talking about that earlier. Of that Complexity is coming in as a team that is known for playing this more of a passive play style to an extent. This less take risk play style. The more we're going to do what's smart, and it does feel like at these events that naturally happens in a lot of ways. And so a team that already kind of does that online, you'd figure maybe has an advantage in some ways offline. Will that translate 100%? Again, that's something we'll have to find out. But I am expecting Complexity to at least make the top 4 personally. So will they go further? We'll see. We'll see here. All right, so there's Complexity. Now we can get into teams that I'm sure a lot of people are extra interested about now. Get our takes on, and from the little bit we've done at least, or in some cases some of us have definitely done a bit more. So let's start with the bigger name one here, MRR. Neolution Esport MRR is their kind of full name there. These guys, of course, you should recognize them if you follow competitive HoN at all. That's for the reason because they won DreamHack. That's kind of a big deal there. They won DreamHack Summer 2015, of course. A huge moment not only for them but for the Thai scene especially. I mean, that right there was basically making the point of, okay, they've finally broken through. They are now a region that really has to be reckoned with. I mean, even at the World Finals last year, 3 of the top 4 were Thai teams, but in the MPMG won of course. So it was still kind of like the NAEU scene still dominant in a lot of ways. But again, this was kind of that mark for me at least that I really think showed that and has definitely made these World Finals that much more intriguing. But again, kind of like we've been talking about with Singing Complex, does this put pressure on MRR? Is this going to be a situation of, they feel like they have to really perform now because they won DreamHack, they were the runner-up last year in the World Finals? How will that affect things? But also a team definitely with some Thai players that our scene, may recognize. Punk Peng being the very obvious one. That guy is amazing. And then Chidawan, the one play that really stands out in my mind is that fade play at DreamHack. He drops the portal key, somehow escapes, and amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Unfortunately, you can't do that anymore, but that's another story. All right, Insania. Well, what do you think about these guys here?
For me, MRR are kind of similar to Complexity if you want to compare them to any team. I think they're very stable. Very, very balanced team. They're they're about not making the mistakes, not necessarily exposing their opponents as much. They just don't want to make mistakes, and that's how they find their wins, I feel. So I think it will be interesting for me to see them play versus Complexity. I think those series could be really interesting, or really just what do you call it? Any team you just stomp it, pretty much. Mm-hmm. But that's one of the matchups I'm really excited to see. I think MRR, they probably don't have any land nerves anymore. They've been playing for so long. This team was at DreamHack 2012,
That's
and
right.
a bunch of their players are still the same. So these guys have been around forever, and they've been playing with each other forever. So, yeah, I don't think they have any land nerves. I don't think they really get affected by that kind of a pressure, and that's probably their biggest advantage, both their playstyle and the fact that they're just so experienced. They're definitely the experienced team this year around. And for them, I think the big thing is just not losing to the enemy team's pressure and not giving into them and not getting overran. I feel like the stuff you guys said about Complexity really applies to MRR more so than what I feel about Cole. For them, it's just don't get screwed over in the early game, and they're in a good position to win.
Mathematical?
Well, I've watched a lot of their playings recently. To me, they're very close with MythMix as my number 2 for the Thai teams. The only thing that I've noticed, and for a lot of there's a ton of people actually in the HoNcast chat right now that follow the SEA region to a T. They watch every single game and the codex and stuff like that. And they've noticed that MRR has kind of been fallen behind a little bit since DreamHack. One thing I personally noticed, though, is if it comes to the fact where both teams start playing passive and they're farming, they just don't seem to be on par with those other two teams, and getting like the most out of the map and making sure that every last gold efficiency stat is up there. So, I have seen like a 5,000 gold lead slowly become like a 10,000 gold lead just over a matter of minutes. So if they can focus on that, I think they can be a top contender, and I wouldn't be surprised if they make it to the top 4 actually.
Yeah. Regroste?
You guys pretty much covered a lot of it, but I think when you have a player like Punk Pang kind of being your backbone of your team in terms of being your carry, you kind of always have a chance to win, no matter what the circumstances are. So I think that's kind of the big thing for MRR. But yeah, I think you guys covered most of it on that one. They are a good team, though. Very good team.
All right. Next team in line. Let's go with these guys here. Let's go with Myth Mix. Again, some of these names are a little. So Myth Phoenix Mix Daffa is apparently the full name. We know them by Myth, really. Now, again, this is not the same Myth team that we've had in the past, so just to clarify that right off the bat. I believe the only player we determined was the same, I think, as PTY. If I'm not mistaken, it happens to be their captain, actually. Other than that, there might be a couple of names. Again, we were kind of talking about it before we had the podcast, like 5, 6, 7, 8 rings a bell. But other than that, not really sure what to expect, at least without doing, research, which I know some of you have recently. But one very obviously, as you see there on the accomplishments, they actually did win the GSL event that happened recently in Thailand. They won GSL 2016. So this is a team now you kind of have to be like, well, all right, maybe there's something here with this Myth team. Matt, I want to start with you actually on this one. I know that you got watching them perhaps, and so what do you expect from Myth then?
Extremely aggressive play right out the gate early on. They very rarely run a jungler, almost never. From what I've seen, and given that this was like a bounty league, so it might be completely different than how they play in the World Finals event, but. Yeah, I mean, right off the gun, they are looking to disrupt the enemy team's flow, and it makes for really, really fun, exciting games to watch. We'll almost see like the support leave the lane and just roam with 2 heroes all around the map. We see a lot of times in our region 1 player roaming around the map with veiled rods and stuff. They usually run with 2 of these guys, and yeah, they're pretty damn good at it too.
Rag, throw it to you on this one.
Yeah, I have known their aggressive play style. I do like it a lot. I think it's actually going to work wonders against a lot of these teams that like to rely on not rely on their carries, but rely on these late game strategies where they just come in an early game and take it.
This could be a team that's strong against complexity. You think then?
Yes, I guess is the best way to say it. Is there a team that will win early game, and if they win early game, there won't be a late game. So yeah. Teams like complexity could struggle against them.
And Sania, what do you think of these guys?
Well, I'm basing a lot of my opinions off last year, of course. I haven't done as much research as maybe mathematical, so I'm not entirely sure. But I know PTY, and I've watched a lot of their games in the past, and I feel like they're the kind of team where they might look really good online, but I think when they're at the big event, you shouldn't be. They're the kind of team that might just do anything. Like you should never expect that what they're gonna pick. And I'm speaking of this from experience. Like they could literally bust out anything, I think. And just because they're playing super aggressive now, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're gonna do it. But in general, for teams that are very aggressive, I think the question really is like when the teams start playing more safe at LAN, because that's basically a consequence of the LAN environment. That people are more safe. Can they still find those pickoffs? Can they still find those openings to push their gameplay forward, or are they going to be lost? Kind of similar to us last year in Thailand, maybe. So I think that's the big question for me when it comes to them.
A couple things to add before moving on here. One that really stood out to me is this player, Carry ACT, which again I think we all agree we never have heard of before. I don't think he has been to a previous event. his stats suggest this guy's really freaking good. Now, the stats that we got, at least, he has 11.46 kill plus assist to death ratio, which is like 3 higher than the next closest anyone in this competition here. He averages 641 goal per minute. Again, I don't know exactly how many games this is from and what event necessarily, but it looks impressive. So maybe there's something to this guy here. And guess who his most played hero is? Scout. So that should be interesting. That should be really interesting. What's up?
Do you know there are 3 types of lies?
Okay.
Lies, damned lies, and statistics.
Yeah? The stats
say
don't lie,
nothing.
man.
Stats only. They're the last form of lie. You can't trust stats, man.
Okay, like I said, it doesn't mean everything, but hey, in comparison to others. For all you know, this guy's just going to come out and be the best HoN player we've ever seen. He's going to do some insane stuff.
It won't be because of his stats.
It might be, though. Yeah, well, another thing on that, though, actually, speaking of him playing Scout, again, I love the top-played heroes on each of their players. If they did the top-played heroes for their team, it would be Scout, Moira, Midas, Pebbles, and Fade. I mean, you talk about early game. That's right there, the epitome of it, right? So, yeah, I think that's just even more justification that this is a team that will look to get at you early if you needed more there. All right, moving on to the last tie team. No, I'm sorry, with the third tie team. Okay, yeah, we got 2 more. So we'll go over Dog first here. Signature Snoop Dogg. I just love this name here. Now, Signature Snoop Dogg's really interesting because they are a team that, you know, again, they did get top 4 last year, obviously. They lost, I think they did lose to MRR last year World Finals, ultimately getting MRR to the finals. But when it comes to online play, these guys actually, they won both the winter and the spring HoN Tour in Thailand over there recently. So these guys actually have a lot of momentum, apparently, coming into said World Finals. So that has to be something that people are, you know, will have to look at here and see, well, what should we expect out of these guys now? But, Rag, I'm going to start with you on this one here.
This is my number 1 team going into this tournament.
Yeah.
I think Lord Mikhail is probably one of the strongest laners, as far as I'm concerned. I love watching him play. He just is one of those players that just won't lose his lane. He'll either go even or he'll win it. So I think that's kind of the big thing for them. So I'm really excited to actually watch them play in person. So, yeah, but I think they're that team that you really need to look at because they're running with so much momentum right now.
They also have a very vocal player by the name of Hyena on the roster. Loud. It just really likes to go at it. But, you know, love to see that emotion there. Mathematical?
Yeah, Hyena's number 1 on the tie ladder for MMR. Or
Really?
MMR. Yeah, he has the highest rating.
Wow.
Support players, baby.
He's a good player. And on the Lord Mikhail, I got to agree with Grosty. He's a crazy player. And in my experience, I don't know, like you said, where these stats come from, but he plays a lot of South Forest, a lot of Dr. Repulsor seems to be like his favorite hero, and Parallax. So these in and out heroes are his specialty. But overall, D-Dog is probably the strongest team coming out of this region, and one of the teams that I think is going to easily stand up against our region. They have so many like bold strategies they run. Like they were the ones that first ran the Alchemist Bones into Rune Cleaver on the Wild Soul, which was laughable, but Complexity tried it in a couple scrims. I think they won both scrims they ran it. Yep. So it was kind of comical, but it was funny. And then they also do this really cool thing with they run a carry Ravenor, and then their support in offlaner is Revenant and Blacksmith, so you get the -8 magic armor.
Wow.
And they just tear through teams.
Blacksmith?
Like with that,
really?
The Blacksmith, yeah. Because Mortification and the Flaming Hammer both do -4 magic armor, and it's a cool strategy to watch unfold. It's predictable, I suppose, if you know that they run it, but they do a lot of crazy stuff, and they're very successful with it. So they get my vote as probably going to be in the grand finals.
All right. Insania?
Okay, so I just want to say I disagree with most of everything that has been said.
Nice.
Yes, but it's good. Gives leads for good discussion.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I don't think Lord Mikhail is a good laner whatsoever. I think his strength as a player is his mid-game presence. Like, what he does with what he gets out of the lane is what makes him so good. He makes plays, right? There are so many players, especially like right now in the NEU scene, they will farm so they can farm more. And that's good, but all you're really doing is you're setting up the game for yourself. But someone like Lord Mikhail, he really helps out his team. He makes sure that other people can farm while he's also finding his own farm through hero kills. And I think that's what makes him such a great player. It's not necessarily that he's a super strong laner or that he's amazing in the early game. It's just that his decision making in the mid game, I think, really makes him amazing. And then, from my point of view, first of all, I want to say D-Dog got last place at DreamHack.
That's true.
These guys, they lost to us first, and then they lost to BMG straight up afterwards. And I think it's important to remember this. Like, yeah, they look good online, but what other team also looked really good online for, I don't know, 8 months, and then placed terribly at lands? And
bad, man.
it's kind of funny if you think about it, because D-Dog placed last, and we kind of placed last in Thailand, and they placed last at DreamHack, and then we placed third at DreamHack, and they placed third in Thailand. So they had very similar results to what we had during the last year, and they're kind of a similar playstyle, right? They're really aggressive. Like, they like Dr. Repulsor. We play that hero all the time. And like I said, these aggressive teams, when it comes to lands, it's hard to keep that aggression up, to have the balls to take those risks that you do online when the other team is also clamping up more and playing more safe. Because that's, like I said, every team at a LAN event, generally, they become more safe. I don't know if it's better focus or what it is, but it's you tend to like make less mistakes than you do online.
Yeah.
And that favors the more slower paced teams. And again, if D-Dog are past this, if they've figured out a way around it, amazing. Then we might finally get to see an aggressive team who just plays balls to the wall actually win an event. But if you look at history, we don't really have any team that's won a LAN event that has been like that. They've all been very safe in a way. And if some of you are thinking stay green and you're saying they were really aggressive, they weren't really aggressive.
No, they weren't.
So
No,
they were
definitely not.
safe in their pushing. So we haven't really had that team yet. I mean, the closest thing was like BMG last. I mean,
It was
2
BMG
years
last
ago.
year.
No, well, 2 years ago I'd say, because the BMG of last year were
Okay.
also pretty safe. But the Handskin BMG, they were like the aggressive team, and they placed second as well. Because
That's fair.
I just think when the pressure is on, and you're in the grand finals like that, or you're on the big stage, it's hard to still have the balls to make those plays, to even see those opportunities. So that's my big concern for D-Dog. I wouldn't be surprised if they do good, but again, would be equally not surprised if they didn't do as good as people expected them to do.
Interesting comparison there. But yeah, it's hard to not look at that. So that's my opinion may be changing a little bit after that good thought there, Insania. Because I gotta say,
Why they call me the GOAT?
I know. Yeah. Anyway, I know that one of these obvious questions we have going into an event like this is who's this quote unquote dark horse team, and for me, picking a dark horse team out of it was a little difficult because really it's what do you consider a dark horse? But for me it was Snoop Dogg, because I know again they've been doing great online, but is that going to translate now to these World Finals here? So they're the team that I picked to be kind of this team that maybe a lot of people wouldn't expect from previous events, but all of a sudden could even win it all. But yeah, we'll see if it comes together for them. I also, Vindicator is also an interesting support apparently for them, as well as MRR, one that we could possibly expect to see that they like to run. So I know I noticed that there when we were kind of going these teams. But
I think that's because they like Dr. Repulsor, Madman, Parallax so much. Those heroes go almost every game. Or I guess it could be almost any hero that like jumps into the fight. The silence is the instant counter to that. Mm-hmm. They use it and then they counter initiate. And yeah, he's banned very often too. That and Monarch is like their go-to supports right now.
Yeah. I'm very intrigued. It's always interesting when we get these regions coming together. The draft itself, how that works, with the bans initially to then obviously the picks from it. That's always so fascinating to me to look at and to see how adjustments are made. So excited for that here at this World Finals. The final team out of Thailand. Now we're at the final team out of Thailand. Arguably has the best logo as well of any team. We got Kimochi here. I think we'll determine that I personally do not recognize any of these names here as far as the players go. They were the final team. Now again, to clarify something here, so Snoop Dogg, they actually qualified via Thailand. They were the one technically team that qualified from the Thailand qualifiers. Myth, MRR, and now Komochi are 3 teams that actually qualified via the Southeast Asian qualifier. So they actually competed against teams from Malaysia, from the Philippines, things like that. In the end, though, it just happened to be 3 more Thai teams. That's just how dominant that region is, not only over there, but obviously in general. Komochi, though, yeah, I mean, so what do you guys have on this team, if anything? I mean, Matt, I know you've been watching these scrims a little bit. Have you noticed anything about these guys? Or
Yeah, they have a very promising early game. They usually get the bloodlust almost every game. They start off like they're up 5 kills, and then for some reason they lose one team fight, and then they get really passive, and then they just slowly fall behind. They cannot farm efficiently. The only game I ever seen them win is when they ran Scrap in this very bold push strategy that actually took the throne out at the 12-minute mark. Mm-hmm. It was like the first Thai game I casted. It was like an awesome game, and I was like, damn, these guys are pretty good. But ever since then, it'd be very surprising if they made it. If they would just man up and take risks, that'd probably be their best bet at making it. But I don't know. They try to play the safe game, and it doesn't pan out for them often. From what I've seen.
I know nothing about these guys. They're weebs.
So you don't recognize any of these names from previous years? Again, we were trying to determine that, so I guess not, huh?
Nope.
Nothing.
I mean, I can make some stuff up if you want.
No, no, you don't need to. That's fine. Fair enough. Regrose?
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I've maybe watched one game of theirs, so I don't want to throw random facts out in the air.
I'll throw a random fact. Happens to be true, though, from what I can tell at least. They're the only Thai team that looks like that runs really a true jungler. Their captain, actually, his top lane heroes Ophelia, Parasite, and Balfagor, which I assume they run as a jungler, which we know is possible in the right hand. So, I look at all the other Thai teams. They usually are more of that secondary support style. So, obviously similar to BMG of last year instead. So. Interesting about Komochi there. There you go. That's what makes them stand out. Expect a true jungler from them. Okay. And again, the best logo. So Komochi, again, they're kind of that wild card team. Don't really know what to expect. Probably means not expecting them to make top 4. Who knows though. All right, so 2 more teams now. We got the other regions now here involved. We'll start with Mecca. Mecca, these guys coming from CIS. So CIS has, to say the least, been dominated, really, it feels like, at least in terms of representing at these LAN events by Cats Gaming, of course. They've been the big team, the big organization that has represented this region for a while now. Have never really been able to do a lot at these events in the end. It feels like that they've definitely gotten better as time has moved on here. But again, it's hard for me to sit here and say that this will be different at this. I just think overall the competition is just so good. I'm personally not expecting a lot at a Mecca, but I will say, there are players, specifically Artmeister is one that you'll probably recognize from this region, a fantastic player from over there. I want to start with Insane because I know that this is your team. That you think they're going to win it all.
Yeah, I have them as my winners. I think the reason they're gonna win is because nobody expects them to. Everybody's gonna sleep on them, and everybody's gonna be like, they haven't been good the last couple of years. They're not gonna be good this year, and I don't think they're gonna be good. But I think they're gonna be so unexpected that they win. I think Artmeister is gonna drop some Russian knowledge that he's learned in other places. He's been in this mountain, let's call it Dota, and he's just been learning things in this mountain, and he's going to bring it and apply it to HoN, and it's just going to be the weirdest things we've ever seen, but for some reason it's going to work, and nobody's going to be able to explain why. And they're going to win it all.
I love it.
No, it's legit.
No, it's good logic. I like it.
I will take any bet below $1 against anyone in the chat on Mecca to win this event.
Below $1.
That's how much I believe in them.
I've made a mistake on believing in a CIS team, honestly, I think, God, it must have been maybe even 3 years ago now. I really thought that was it, and then they just got last place, and it was like, okay. Unfortunately not. Well, Regroste, we'll go to you next. What do you expect from Mecca?
I really like their logo, and I think that's kind of the big thing when you look at it. Is logos do define a team. Yeah, I really don't know much about them either, so I like Insania's logic behind it, though. I like the fact that you don't know. You don't know what they're going to do. They could be that amazing team. I like it. So I'm going to run with Insania's logic on this one. And, yeah.
All right. Also, overall, they are, I think, average age-wise, they're actually the oldest team. I'm kind of looking at it just briefly. Maybe Wingbow Gaming.
So they're winning at life, at least.
They're
Even if they lose the event, they're winning at life. They made it the furthest.
It's not what I meant by that, but okay. I guess that's a way to look at it.
They're already winners. Can't take it away from them.
Okay, we gotta stop. Okay, Mecca, I think they'll be fine. Mathematical, what do you think?
Well, they're one of the few teams that I recognize from before the World Finals. Like a lot of these teams I hadn't heard of before, and I've seen them, but I don't know honestly what to expect of them. I have not seen anything from them recently, so all I know is I've seen them a little bit, and they were okay. So I mean, they obviously made it to the World Finals, so I think they have a chance. But
wasn't Sync screaming them recently? Didn't you mention that?
Like last year. They would scrim. I don't know, maybe, but that's when I cast.
I think we scrimmed them in BMG a bit.
Okay.
And they were just you couldn't do anything. They just beat you. Okay. But then they let us win after a couple of scrims because it wasn't fun for us.
Gotcha, of course. It is. For me, it is cool seeing another team from that region because it shows that the competition is ideally growing at least a bit. And honestly, they do have quite a bit of events from constantly seeing. I know their stream has become more and more popular, more and more active, which is great to see. So. Definitely wishing the best for the CIS team to see as far as continuing to grow. And hey, if they do make some plays here, even if something as simple as getting not simple, but even if they happen to get top 4, that could really be a boost in terms of okay, maybe CIS is actually pretty legit over there, and going to be starting to be a region to really truly worry about. But cold hard facts, man. I gotta say, I'm not expecting a lot out of Mecca here. Do not expect them to make top 4. Hey, I would love to be proven wrong. It's definitely one of these cases.
Yeah.
They're great to hang out with, though. I will say that.
Yes.
As far as behind the scene, Russians, man. They are awesome.
They're the best, dude.
They're
the best.
great. I don't know if Ivan's going to be here, by the way.
I don't think he will.
He won't? Okay.
No. We got Artmeister, though. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all good. But yeah. In all seriousness, I think the problem that the CIS teams have, even more so than the NEU teams, they're very aggressive. Very, very aggressive. And they play off their opponent's mistakes. And I've already made this point so many times. So I'm just going to put it at that, and that's why I think they're going to struggle at the event.
Okay. All right. Now the last team here. Last team before we just do some Q&A and then start wrapping things up. But Wingbow Gaming. Wingbow Gaming here. They're from Malaysia. They were the team that qualified from that region. Now, there's a couple of interesting points. We actually had Fantasy join us. He follows, the Southeast Asian region pretty well. I used to read some articles every once in a while. I did some recently here. He actually kind of gave us some information, which I did find interesting on this team. So they qualified via the Malaysian Championships. Now, one thing about that, they actually beat You Meet Wrong Opponent, which for those that may remember, that was a team that actually qualified last year from Malaysia. So I don't think they did too well in the end, from what I recall. But that there's something there. So at least a little bit of a similarity there. So it's kind of a new team from there. The other thing, those championships happened back, I think he said, in November. So since November, they haven't really been – I don't think there's been too many competitions in Malaysia in general, if any, and I don't know how active they've been. So long story short, they're going to have a fun trip. Hopefully they enjoy Thailand.
There you go.
What do you guys think?
I can talk about You Met Wrong Opponent. They're great guys. We actually had a deal with them when we were playing the 5th place match. That whoever loses buys the other team vodka, and they held up on the deal.
Yeah?
So, yeah.
Nice.
Only have good things to say about them. They're great fun.
I'm sure these guys will be just as good then, yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was going to get to. I think, in general, the teams that have come from that region have always been fun to hang out with. It used to be Team Orange, I think, way back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So they're great people. I'm looking forward to meeting them. I've only had good interactions with them so far, so don't expect this team to be any different.
Yeah. Awesome. Matt, what do you got?
Well, I know nothing about the team. I know that Sync's scrimming them recently
Yeah, that's
on
right. That's what they were screaming.
on
Yeah.
the Garena client with 300 ping, and they still won. So
Yeah.
I guess some players like Oscar deal with that on the reg. So like, I mean, maybe that's not any kind of tell. But yeah, I don't know what to expect of them. So I don't have the highest hopes, to say the least.
Regros, I'll let you go first, and I'll get to my point here. Whoa, what do you think?
Well, my dog doesn't think very much of them, so no, I just they'll be fun to hang out with. Yeah, is that what we're gonna go with? Okay, well there you go. There's my insight on that one.
So something I was gonna kind of bring up again. I don't want to feel like we're bashing on a team like this, but hey, they're getting a free trip in the end in Thailand. They're gonna have a good time, I'm sure. So we have kind of looking at it from this perspective. We're having fun with it. Their support player, his most played heroes are Riptide and Silhouette. So
I was just actually looking at that. All of them play wacky heroes that are outside of their roles.
If they got their most played heroes lineup for each of the players, it would be Tremble, Magebane, Scout, Riptide, and Swiftblade.
Please make it happen.
I mean,
if any one of you is in the chat, I will, no joke, make the greatest points for why your draft is the best draft I've ever seen in my entire life if you pick that at the World Finals. And if you beat anyone with that, it's over.
like,
It's over.
I don't get
The
it.
game changes.
you got to look at it like if they make it past 70 minutes, 5-6 slotted carries. There you go.
Then
Simple as
all
that.
the 4K Dota pubs will have been right. All these years. All these 1500s picking 10 carries in each game will have been right.
It'll all come to fruition. Yeah, could you imagine if they win?
I hope they win.
If they win a game is what I meant to say.
I hope they win the entire event.
With that lineup.
With that exact lineup.
We would be like, we would have nothing to say. We would look so stupid if they ended up winning.
That alone is enough interest for me to be like, okay, at least we maybe get to see something pretty crazy out of them. We'll see what happens. So, all right, so that's Wingbow Gaming right there. So those are the 8 teams again that are going to these World Finals here. So I know, especially near the end there, yes, we do have Mecha, Wingbow, and again, it's great that they're coming from the regions, representing the regions and everything. And like I said, I'm sure they're gonna have a good time. But there is a lot of us that suggests maybe don't expect the most out of them. Mecha is a little bit on the fence for me personally. I could see maybe getting top 4 if things kind of all line up. But Wingbow, yeah, I think we're all or win it all according to Insania. That could possibly happen too.
Wait, I'm just curious. Breaky, who did you think was going to win the event last year?
I don't even remember. It's
Sync,
Sync,
right?
I mean, yeah,
you were
obviously,
super wrong. You
I was
so wrong.
super wrong. Yeah,
Right, so
99% of the people. Yes.
I mean, I also thought Sync was going to win that event.
Yes.
But I was also super wrong. So this year, I'm flipping it around. Let's go, Mecha. I believe.
I guess that's a hard argument to fight against, Insania. You got me there.
Fact, dude.
It is fact. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so that covers the teams and everything. So one segment we kind of wanted to do here before we really start wrapping up is eventually do some Q&A. So if people have questions, feel free to ask it in chat. I know I made a Reddit post and there's a couple of questions that some people had here. We'll get to those here. Oily, I think it's his name on Reddit, something like that. Anyways, well, I want to discuss about how you see Sync and Cole's play style fitting against the Thai. So, so how do we think? I mean, we've kind of covered that, I guess, in general. But, I mean, is there anything else to add to that? Like Complexity and Sync Esports going up against these Thai teams now. Again, because this is a Thai region. I mean, we know now they're legit. Like, they're arguably going to win. I mean, they're definitely – they have several teams that have possibilities of winning it all. How do you think – they're going to work against that play style? Do you think they're doing the research necessary? I mean, all that. So, Insania?
I think they are working on it for sure. Can they figure it out? I don't know. For me, I hope Complexity doesn't change too much. I want Complexity to play what they are playing. I think they're good, really good at what they do. And if they keep playing what they're playing and just stick to their guns and just like maybe like adapt it slightly to fit against the ties, I I think they have the best shot. And for me, Sync is really like what I don't even know. I don't even think they know what they're gonna do yet. And for me, it's I just feel like Slap can end up picking anything. I really don't know. Um, I think he has some amazing drafts, and then he has some drafts where I'm like, what? Were you just clicking the right nice colors, or what were you thinking? And when you ask him, that's kind of the answer he gives you. He's like, yeah, I was so tired from streaming today. I don't really know what I was doing. So my point is, I think is really unpredictable at this event. I don't really know what they're gonna do. But for Cole, I think their playstyle meshes up pretty well against the ties, and it's just more so that I think Cole are that good at executing what they have. Like it's not necessarily about this is the best draft or not, but it's just they're really, really, really good at playing it. So that's what I think.
Anything to add mathematical?
I guess I kind of already said everything earlier about how I thought Complexity would do against them. I think they stand a good chance with their lineup. It's hard for me to say about Sync. I really don't know what they're gonna do. But maybe Insania. What do you think both of these teams will do with bans? Will they just ban counters to the picks, or do you think they're going to be banning out the favorites of each individual player or team?
That's always interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I think I don't think either of the teams have decided yet, so it's hard for us to predict. But I can tell you, if I were in either of these teams' shoes, I would look to ban out whatever gives them map control. And this is because I feel like the Thai teams and they are. It might be rude, but I just feel like they don't play as smart. They're not like when you watch like Own Me play. You know how he's like sitting in the trees forever. He just knows where people are gonna be. I feel like they don't really do those kind of plays. They very much play based off what they see and what they know. So here's like Fade, a very high value for them, and just here's like give them map control and vision in that way. So I'd probably look to ban out that kind of. I would have that kind of approach to the draft. Like let's get rid of that, make them play with less vision, make them play uncomfortably. So
yeah, Tundra War Beast are probably like the only two heroes that share a top tier ban between the two regions. So they're definitely onto something there.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah. Regrossi, any further to add there?
No, I really like the map control. I think is the big thing for the Thai teams, and if they get map control, they'll definitely take over the games. So. Yeah, I think I really like that question though, Matt, about what bans they're gonna do. So, yeah, but totally agree with Insania. Getting rid of the map control heroes. I think Fade is one of their highest picked / banned heroes. So, we would like to see Sync Complexity ban those heroes.
Yeah, like I said, these events, whenever we have this international competition coming together, obviously the whole event is always a lot of fun, but really the draft is the most intriguing part to me. It's because, again, how they react, what research did they do, are they reacting to how they play, are they reacting to what they know? That's we're going to find out those answers here coming up. So, VHD had a couple of questions here. We pretty much answered the main questions he had about what we think about the Thai scene and kind of going through all the teams right there. So I think we've already covered that. But one that I'll try to answer my best, which honestly isn't going to be a good answer, and I hate it, but it's about the codecs in game. So I know there's things like the watch live broadcast, and is that going to be working? Things like that. I don't know. It's a simple that's my simple answer. That's why I said you're gonna hate it. Frankly, I do not know. I think it's one of those things where to kind of be real a little bit, right? It's one of those things. It's something that we've wanted to do for a long time. It was finally made a point to really attempt to do our version of really enhancing the competitive scene with features like being able to watch it live and the betting and everything. Unfortunately, it may not have been done. Our back end of the game, it wasn't built like a Valve had from the beginning with, from the ground up. Where, so trying to compare their system of like their Dota TV and everything to what we're trying to pull off, you just can't. It just doesn't work that way with the back end and everything. I'm not making excuses, but frankly, I guess I kind of am. But that's just how it is. So I guess where I'm getting at is that the idea's there. We want to get that possibility going, and I still believe that is still the intention of being able to get that feature put in. Will it actually be in? I can't sit here and guarantee. I will say we will have a stream on HoNcast, of course, and obviously you can watch the matches there and everything. So how the interaction of the in-game codex will work, I'm not sure. I think the betting is still set to definitely happen, so if you want to have fun with that, you can enjoy as far as the watching live and that interaction. I don't believe, or I don't think, I don't know. I guess that's where it's going. What was I going to say, though? Dang, I had something to bring up there. Nope, guess that covers it. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, hopefully at least that's something there on the codex and what we're going to be getting out of it coming up. All right. Other than that, there's not any more questions that I know. Oh, that's what it was. There was one question I saw in chat about how is coverage going to work. So we are only going to have one stream, of course, as far as our stream. There will be the Garena stream, the Garena Thailand stream, like there always is. But so for those that haven't seen the floor plan yet, again, the Thai scene over there, they've released. I don't have the website on me right now, but it's actually a floor plan of what it looks like, and there's actually going to be a main stage here like there is at these events in general, but there's going to be player boosts as well. That's the plan. So they're going to actually be playing in the player boosts and everything, and we're going to be covering the main stage matches on HoNcast. So there will be 2 other series happening at the same time off stream. So unfortunately, those will not be casted, but obviously we'll do our part to keep you updated how they're going. We have some plans to help with that. Worst case, we can jump into it if our series we're happening to casting is, finishes up early. But yeah, no, the biggest thing about this event too that I think, it's funny to say now, but it is going to be an only HoN event. In the past, there's actually been other things going on. With the GSL, it's more than just Heroes of New Earth, unfortunately, in the past. This year, this is the HoN Tour World Finals. That's what this event is. So, ideally, things will be a lot smoother and a little bit, better for those that are there at the event, but also for the people at home as far as production goes and everything. So, look forward to that as well. Okay, got all those general questions out. June 18th and June 19th are the event dates as well. Again, mathematically, you linked the post there. So, yeah, you guys can check out that. Again, our website will be out tomorrow, I believe, is the plan. So that'll be an English version, of course, and everything that's happening with the event, all that information that you can find there. So, boom. All right. Anything else you guys had? Any questions you wanted to answer or go over before we wrap up here?
Someone asked, what is the hero Thailand 2016? Like, what is the Thailand 2016 hero going to be? Like Clanks from DreamHack.
Oh.
What do you guys think? I think it's going to be South Forest. I think South Forest is probably the strongest hero in the pool right now. It's my opinion.
Well, I'm kind of looking through the most played heroes of the teams here, and I don't see a lot of South Forest, honestly, especially from the Thai teams. There's only one team that actually has any in their top played, at least. It's Myth, actually.
Okay.
D-Dog, I don't see
He's
it
picked
in
up
their
a decent
list.
bit, and not as much as us, but he just get picked up every other game or so.
Lord
No,
South Forest
I think-
wouldn't be surprising at all to me, yeah, but
To me,
Yeah.
Pestilence is going to surprise everybody, and he's going to become a top tier pick in the NAEU region
well,
too.
so I think that's kind of a two different questions. Like what Sandy was, so who's
Right.
going to be the hero that just dominates the event, like Clanks did for
Exactly.
DreamHack, compared to who's going to be like the surprise hero. So the dominant hero, I don't see why not a South Forest. I mean, it seems like he kind of fits that idea. He's just such a good hero all around. He's going to be getting kills constantly. He can play many different roles, really. So as far as where he's played on the map, so yeah, I don't see why not.
I think I'd go.
I think
with,
the big argument for him.
Oh.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Sadie.
Okay, I think the big argument for South Forest is that he's both good in a fast-paced game and a slow-paced game. And I know a lot of you guys are writing Parallax. The
Yeah.
thing with Parallax is like the hero again. It's a high-tempo hero. He's good when the games are fast, but can he hold up when the game is slow-paced? I don't really know because honestly, I haven't played enough HoN in the last 6 months. So can the hero hold up in a high-paced game? I'm not sure, and I think that's where like South Forest comes in and why I think he's going to be so good.
Okay. God, Madman seems like potentially a hero that we could be seeing a bit of too. Even looking at this, and possibly
like their number one carry. Yeah.
Okay, but I do like actually where you're going mathematical with the pestilence idea too. Where I've seen a
Oh,
couple.
I think he
of
will.
Teams
He
here.
will not just be a surprise. I think he's gonna be the go-to amazing hero of the whole event.
Yeah.
It
Do
does
you
seem.
think the NEU teams will pick him? Sorry.
That I don't know, but you got to think that you can either ban a hero that you don't want to go up against, or you can take it for yourself. So maybe they will. I don't know.
Kind of. That's what I was gonna go. It feels like that we've been talking about. Fade seems like could be a very popular choice in the Thai scene. Heroes like Scout we went over, this carry ACT player. Apparently, that's like his top played. That's where Pestilence, you could argue, is obviously a decent counter in some ways. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Sync in Complexity addressing those heroes with a counter pick of a Pestilence, in a sense. So, maybe Pestilence could be seen, and I would love that. I actually like the hero a lot. So,
Yeah. And if you look back to 2013, I don't know if you remember this, but Magnus wasn't really a popular hero until when we were at the event. And then I think it was MRR beat SG with Mag. And then, like, BMG started picking Magnus, and SG started picking Magnus, and Sync started picking Magnus. So it's definitely happened in the past where, like, the meta changes at the LAN event.
oh yeah, there's been Zephyr's had his moment. We've had a Midas event. The earlier Midas.
Yeah.
Most recently,
the
Clanks.
good old. Well, Clanks was.
Well, what about Clanks, Insania?
Clanks was already OP before the event. We already knew about that.
That's true.
But
Still
that's
saw
on me.
Plenty, yeah.
Should have banned him.
I guess you could say Tremble was last year. BMG played it quite a bit in there.
Yeah, Tremble was really good before the event. I remember that was one of the heroes we had planned to like pick every game if we can.
Yeah.
But yeah.
God, what about like Swiftblade? That's another hero that just like died off all of a sudden.
I think again, Swiftblade he's a good in the high paced games, and when the high paced team disappears, the game slows down, and then Swiftblade just isn't as good anymore. But I think the hero's still just as good. It's just the way that people prefer to play now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Monkey King's coming back. That's what we determined. All right.
That'd be great. For Sync fans.
For Sync fans, that'd be fantastic. Hey, Mickey.
Yup.
Can play a mean Monkey King, I've heard, so let's talk with Slapped about it. All right. Well, I think that's going to just about do it here. Good time here. Lasted about an hour and a half on the podcast. Want to go through and do the usual closing statements, shout-outs, anything you guys got. So, Rook Steve, we'll start with you. Any shout-outs? Anything there?
Yeah, just shout out to you guys for being here for the podcast. It was a lot of fun. And I got a shout out to Minnesota, aka Fuzzy Sloth's brother. Plays a mean Danger Monkey Thunderbringer. So just throwing that out there. And shout out to Complexity, and shout out to Millifoon. That's it.
Shout out to Oscar being Brazilian.
That is also very true. He is the best Brazilian. There it is. He's going to be so pissed.
Oscar's Bolivian, guys. Yes, I know that we noticed that too. There was an error on that site that was posted. So he is Bolivian, though. It's not Brazilian. But don't tell him that. All right, mathematical.
Shout out to all the viewers who came out here today to check out the coverage and always hanging out, watching the scrimcast and stuff. And a special shout out to MC Rivals. He's the one who got me to download the Garena client and do all the research on the Thai teams too. So he definitely helped a lot there. And just everybody else.
Nice. Are you bringing that?
I think I have to, right?
Good. Good. That's important.
Oh, I wish we had that and Stay Green was still playing.
That'd be fair. That sounds exactly like More Access.
Yeah, exactly.
The train, I love
More
it.
taxes.
More tax. Insania.
Shout out to all the people. You know who you are. You're amazing. Thank you for viewing. Shout out to everyone who bought a codex in hope that the in-game watch thing would work. And I want to apologize preemptively from everyone at Frostburn Studios. And a shout out to you, Breaky, for always having me and letting me do my thing.
Of course.
It's great fun. I hope you enjoy it too. And yeah.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are just about there. It's I guess again, it feels like we're a little bit closer because we're going to be traveling, at most of us at least, this weekend coming up here. So into next week. So I leave Sunday, I think. Some people leave Monday, but we're going to be there by earlier next week is the point. And then, of course, the event itself, June 18th, June 19th, next Saturday and Sunday are the days. So, again, guys, we are going to have the website up tomorrow. If not tomorrow, I assume then by Friday. But, again, I've been told that tomorrow, hopefully, things are up and good to go there. So look forward to checking all that information out. Again, reminders, and again, we definitely have some fun planned as well. And I know that, before the event, we're obviously not going to have any HoNcast streams going on before the actual event starts, but I do plan to do a bit of, I mentioned Facebook streaming. I know the Facebook streaming has kind of become more and more of a thing, and ideally take advantage of that. So look forward to those. I'll keep you guys updated there, and just some fun kind of vlogs, things there. As well as then the usual, production stuff that we do on, of course, the HoNcast YouTube and Here's the New Earth YouTube and stuff with the interviews and whatnot. So there will be content beforehand, and then, of course, the event itself, the 18th and the 19th. So, ladies and gentlemen, until we see you in Thailand, that's going to do it from here on HoNcast. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast. Feel free to check out the VOD, get it up as soon as possible. And we'll see you next time, which, again, will be live from Bangkok, Thailand for the World Finals 2016. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you then.